It's off. Dr. Feelgood. Rock and roll. Heavy metal.
I like the way Dimitri was holding the lighter, and I was using the modern phone light for that.
You have to keep the traditions. I mean,
You do. You're right. I don't smoke though. No lighter here.
me neither, but very
my
occasionally, actually.
Got
Hey,
all these-
Debbie.
Hello.
Hey, Debbie.
Oh,
Yes. Oh my God. Awesome. We get the real Debbie. Not
yeah. She's. I was convinced she was an AI because we never saw her live. So
Well, I know that she is it. It's just oh my gosh. You look great.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. Sorry I wasn't.
Good morning.
I
Next
missed
time.
a couple weeks, and so I'm happy to be here in person.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's awesome. But you have to comply with the dress code.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh my God.
We're
Okay,
totally casual. Oh. Yeah, there we go.
damn, much better.
Yeah. That's wonderful. Hey, so how's it going, guys?
Good.
Good. Well,
Good.
yeah.
Back
So
from
before-
Amsterdam.
yeah.
Olivier and I were in Amsterdam. We had a nice meal there, right, at that fancy restaurant.
Oh, that was good. That was a good one. Yep.
That was a good one.
What was the name? Truffle?
Troef, Troef, in Amsterdam, if anyone's...
Okay. Oh, they have a lot of good restaurants there.
I love
that was
Amsterdam.
good. It was a great event, the Things Conference. Mark was there. There's Mark.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah.
We had the whole gang there, and, well, not the whole gang, but
Well, 50%. 50% of the gang. Oh no, percentage just went down.
Wow, this is a huge crew.
Oh, David was there. Yeah, so we're just talking about Amsterdam.
Well, that was last week's episode, right? So yeah. Let's welcome everyone to the IoT Coffee Talk show. How's everyone doing? And welcome. And remember, we're here just to have fun. Take us seriously at your own peril. Remember to take out insurance if you go any further than this point, because all the liabilities on you, and we get dangerous. Like Michael Jackson. Dangerous. So
good luck finding an insurance.
That's right.
we're about to get ridiculous up in here. So but enjoy, because you know what? Look at the people that are on here. These are like the leaders of IoT thought leadership. And it's amazing how much influence we have on this show. And what I mean by influence is the thought leadership influence. And it's great every week, to jump on and hang out with you guys. And it's weird. We're going on 6 years, guys. And I don't think anyone sees the end of this thing, right? And so it's pretty remarkable that we just constantly and continuously and consistently jump on every week. So hopefully the audience continues to get value out of this, but you have to mind for it, because there's a lot of ridiculousness in between each nugget, and things have to build up to that insight. We don't just this is not like the 5-minute or 2-second TikTok video. This is long form, and we let you suffer.
This is a 30-second TikTok video.
Well, it's real life. You have to do the work and find the right thing from the wrong thing. It's just life.
Invest the time.
Real life, not TikTok metaverse.
Nothing is easy.
Yeah, think about it. Think about how much money people could have saved, how much effort if they just friggin' listen to the show. I mean,
Yeah, but to your point previously, how much money they could have lost if they had invested in things we told them to invest in, right?
or no, but even focus areas, like areas of focus. Like one of the things that really resonated with me from last week's episode. And by the way, you guys did a great job, and it was wonderful to have David take the helm and talk a lot. But it's everything that we've been talking about before. It's solutions, right? Moving toward solving problems is not just looking at connectivity or one particular technology. It's looking holistically at solving problems. And so,
speaking of solving problems, I fixed
6
my
years,
microphone, by the way.
huh?
I
What?
fixed my microphone. Speaking of
No,
solving
you didn't.
Does it doesn't work?
Still sounds like shit.
Does it?
Yeah. I have no idea why, because you usually sound really awesome, like way too awesome.
Oh, I know why. Okay, hold on.
Because you've not activated your filters,
that sound
and
better?
EQ and so on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
I
Well,
think you were using the computer mic.
No, I had the old because I had my backup microphone working. Now I have my real microphone working. So
There you go.
Yes, we need that radio voice. We love it.
full frequency.
There you go. Everybody has a radio voice on this show. It's ridiculous. So
The way I think about it is, I think we are trying to bring back a lost art called critical thinking in this world. That's the reality. So
Critical what?
thinking.
Oh,
But no,
Yeah, I know, Pete. I know, Pete, that you think that some AI on the edge is going to take that over, but no.
Gemini. Is that a Gemini thing? Critical thinking.
yeah.
Well, that's an interesting thing, Pete. How can AI at the edge bring that critical thinking back?
Maybe.
Like give
Well,
us the information
the-
and the
it's like the
insight.
mixture of experts, right? You need an AI. You need your AI to sort of counteract the
Well,
thud of the other AIs.
How can it bring thinking back if it hasn't done it in the first place properly?
Well, we
But that's the
technologists
problem, but
mess
that's-
things up first, right? And then we figure it out.
but that's the problem. Is the problem that people are expecting those things to do the hard critical thinking work in our place, as opposed to use this AI as a resources and assistant
Sure,
next to
sure.
the critical
Yeah.
thinking. That's the biggest problem I see, actually. And you can, if you follow a little bit some of the so-called influencers that talk about prompts and things like that, that's actually what I'm seeing happening, because people they pay, just write a little prompt and expect the thing to give them great answers.
Right.
No, it doesn't work.
Well, I don't know if you saw the news this past week, but there was a news story that I posted about the Google Gemini. Speaking of Google Gemini, was filtering the results. So if you went to Google and asked if, and I don't want to get political, but if you asked if Donald Trump had dementia, it would not give you an answer. It would just give a series of links. If you asked if Bill Clinton had dementia, it would give you an answer. And so what they were saying was that Google had kind of tweaked the responses of Gemini. And so the question is like, whose LLM are you using? How is that being filtered? How is that being trained? And so now we need, that's why I was saying I need my edge AI agent or, AI to sort of to make sure that what I'm seeing out there is actually accurate. But we're already starting to see the twisting of the results of these language models.
Well, totally. And this is why I've been saying several times, I think already on the show, is that we are always one train or one whatever gigantic train behind when it comes to regulation and transparency, because the issue is that none of those systems disclose the system prompt. And they iterate around. And that's the first thing we can ask is disclose the system prompt. It's not about the data anymore now, because the data is gone already. All the data has been stolen from everybody. So the question is now, what are the layers we put around those models so that people can actually judge, yes, I want to use this model because I want to hear these, or I don't want to use this model, I don't want to hear this. And by the way, it's not the model that is the interesting part to me, I think for education in the show as well, because the core model will give you the answer. Is the pre-prompt and the post-prompt that is refeeding back in the loop of the model that make the censorship. The core model is not trained.
Right.
Actually, I don't think the core model is not
It's
trained.
the filtering. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
to bring it back a layer higher, sorry, Debbie. We've seen Musk directly ask a question to Grok, and he doesn't like the answer. and he basically says, "Oh, I gotta retweak.
We'll have to fix it. Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?" Where it's like, okay, like we get it. So I think if anyone is expecting anything but this to happen, their head has been in a dark place for a long time at this point.
By the way, David, are you in the men's room there? Because I don't think that's a safe place to record. I mean, someone could walk in there at any time and use that men's room. So
Yeah.
I hope not. It's just we're doing a little bit of remodeling, and this is the only place where the Wi-Fi is.
Oh, geez. Wow. Amazing.
this is the longest period of time where Rob has said nothing, by the way.
Yeah, which is illegal. And look at his hair.
No, that's the thing.
Has-
The man,
I love
he
his
ju-
hair.
he just walked out of the spa. He just walked out of his wellness day. I mean, that's him. Look at this guy.
Manicured, pedicured, coiffed.
Absolutely.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. But
I'm here for you.
I think the internet, what I tell people about the internet is that people think about the internet as like a library where you go in, you have all these sections, but really the internet is a library that's created for you. Right. And so you can't see all the sections. You only see what they give you. And so what AI is doing is adding another layer onto that, where it's even narrowing what you can see. So if that is your lens, you're never going to see everything. So I think that's what they really want you to do is, they want you to not click through links or whatever. So it's like, okay, if I can give you this quick answer, and maybe it's fine if you were trying to find out how many ounces are in a cup or something like that, or, what you need to add to a macaroni salad or something. But like if you're really looking to do research, you can't really rely on those things because they have their own incentives to steer you in one way or another. And if you're not really thinking, then you'll take those paths without really looking. So for me, I've always wanted the most unfiltered way to be able to look at stuff because show me everything and then let me choose how I want to curate or how I want to do things. So
Yeah.
that's my thought.
It's even deeper than that, because if you think about it, some of the first level of control was kind of the Great China Firewall. So they were trying to block the things. Now it's from the inside because it's in the tools themselves that you use to crawl the information. The LLMs is basically censoring from the inside, which is even worse. And it scales much, much better than putting a walls or Fahrenheit 451, the idea of burning the books. We try to burn the books and we try to put walls around the information, and now it's just deep inside the engine. So it's very concerning if you really think about it.
Well, remember,
And this is why.
you burn the books, then you find who's got books left, and then you find who's staring at the book that's left at the library, and you take him out too.
Is that like the book of Eli or whatever? Denzel?
I think he's referencing to Fahrenheit 451, Ray Bradbury.
Yep,
Ray
Ray
Bradbury.
Bradbury. Yeah, good stuff. So this is why I exclusively just browse the dark web instead of this other web that you guys are using. It's unfiltered.
And probably
I
has
just gotta- You just have to know a lot of IP addresses and stuff.
Yeah.
I think I
My
have,
credit card. That's my credit card number.
I have a slightly different perspective. I think back to what Dimitri was saying, critical thinking is critical. And the tools, I would argue that they're giving us an even broader access to information than in the past. Like in the past, you would go to your local library, you would read the newspaper. That would be even more filtered because it was limited in the amount of information you had access to. Like now we have access to news that are coming from Africa, from India, from all around the world that you didn't have access to because it was just not available to you unless you were going somewhere physically to get that information. So the internet is in a biased way because it's driven by by revenue, by companies who are trying to force you to click on things. But your critical thinking is at play here. If you have it and click through and fight the ads and eventually work with regulators to make sure that you can have access to information if you really want to, then you have access to more information. And now AI, in my view, can be used, I'm not saying that it is all the time, but can be used to filter that out even better for yourself in like if you use your critical thinking, if you go and search for it, not just take things for granted or as they're given to you, but use the tool to go search more. Hey, like ask questions. Well, but what about this? Like, Trump doesn't have dementia, but what about, articles that are talking about it? And can you show me the bias that they have from the political standpoint? Ground News is great for that, for example. Great tool that tries and mark what the bias is and gives you that information. And by the way, I don't have any stakes, whatever, but Ground News is a great tool for starting to look at news feeds from the opposite side of your aisle, and that you open your eyes on some things. You're just like, oh, wait a second. If that's what they're reading as news, then I understand better what you're saying that, and vice versa. So that's something that critical thinking, should not be taken away, and we should fight for that rather than fight the tools. The tools, I think, can be great if they're used properly.
Yeah.
That was actually my point.
If they're used properly, because if I take your analogy of back in the day, reading the newspaper, maybe you didn't have too many newspapers available, but the model was different in that you probably wanted to write things that were intellectually appealing, that were fact-based, and were not delivering an opinion, which is very different, right? I can write, I saw this, I went to this restaurant, and I thought this restaurant was great. And they're very different. And with the exception of Debbie, who's like 25 years old, the rest of us are really old. We come from that age where, you were reading and things were, again, fact-based, not opinion-based. And we trained our critical thinking, good or bad now, that's to be debated. But I think a lot of those tools that we trained ourselves on are still available today, but they look really different to young people. If I ask, a teenager how they consume news, if they do, they just go like, I don't know. I just go to my local newspaper. Well, do you compare? No, why would I do that? So anyway, just wanted to, since Marc left, I had to disagree slightly with someone here. So I picked on you all because I missed something, and I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. Don't be sorry. And actually, I have 3 teenagers at home. So I can agree with you in the fact that what is given to them is entertainment. And as teenagers, your brain is not built yet for, being critical. But it's our role as parents to teach them. So I introduced like Ground News, and I telling them, hey, I'm listening to my 15 minutes of Reuters news in the morning, because I don't want to read all the rest bullshit, and I just want to have a perspective that is like from an outsider, objective, or to have an indication of how biased that news is. The information is still interesting, but it's our role as parent. My point is to say it's our role as parents to educate them. And the other thing is regulations. So let me take another analogy: driving cars. Cars are faster than the speed limits. Why? Because, well, you know what? We sometimes want to go a bit higher than the speed limit, or we can go on a track or whatnot. You're given a permit to drive, and you've been tested after being trained to use that car, right? So you're less dangerous. You can still kill someone, right?
Is this what you're talking about?
What is
Ground
that?
News.
Blurry.
Yep.
No,
Yeah.
ground.
Ground news.
Ground news.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ground news. That was
I have
so
to-
the
I
analogy
have
to the
to-
car. I think it's super important because you're given tools. You can go like do stupid things with it, or you can use it by the rules for what it's been designed for, which is bringing you from A to B, and doing it in an efficient way, comfortable way, and so on. So I don't know. I mean, like, it's our role to educate. It's also our role to try and push regulations so that there are boundaries and there are guidelines, and accept that these boundaries and guidelines are set in a democratic way, and just abide by them.
Yeah.
I think we're in agreement totally like that. The challenge we're facing is that those systems, by nature of being digital, scales in terms of control. And us, our parents, do not scale in terms of injecting critical thinking. That's the problem. Because, yes, in an ideal, capitalistic world of freedom where everybody is free and seek better and things, that's fine. But and I want to get political here, but we've seen that the geopolitics has changed where this system is actually not considered necessarily the best in the world. There are emergence of systems who have totally fundamentally different beliefs. And the technology scales to support them in a very frightening way, is my point.
Yeah. So, Debbie, you were going to say something?
Critical thinking takes work. It takes effort. And so everything that we're being sold is an easy button, right?
Yeah.
So give away all your rights because instead of reading 80 pages, just press this button and then you get the cotton candy that's going to make your teeth fall out in 6 months, right? So I think, there's a lot of psychological stuff at play that we deal with every day. And so, I really like ground news. A lawyer friend of mine told me about that, and I've been using it for months. And it is really cool because it tells you the bias. Like, okay, you lean left or right. If you want to see left or right news, you can. It shows you a center. It shows you all the different locations where you can find different things. But I think, critical thinking is a lost art, unfortunately. And I would love to see people think more critically because, AI, these companies, they're going to sell you whatever. To me, I've never ever seen this, like you say, I love to use cars as an analogy because I think it's a great analogy. Companies can't sell cars where like the brakes don't work. You can't be like, the brakes work sometimes and not other times, right? But now we have technologies being sold where it's like, use at your own risk. Like it may not be accurate, it may not be this or that. So we're not even accustomed to that as a society, and that's like incredibly dangerous. I think, especially if people don't know what those downsides are.
Right. Trust.
Well, it's exactly like we were talking about when ChatGPT first came out, the dangers of irresponsible use of these tools, right? And ignorant use of these tools. And I think there's still a lot of highly ignorant use of these tools. But, going back to critical thinking, it's hard. It's becoming more rare. But guess what? It's also a competitive differentiation for individuals. So if you can do it well, you know what? You're going to kick the crap out of everyone else. So anyone who's using AI will actually be at a disadvantage to you because AIs are not proving to be great sources of information. They can accelerate things, but you still need to have a critical mind to ask the questions, right? So you know how you have like a chain of thought? Well, humans have to introduce a chain of validation or that critical thinking that generates that next question to ask any kind of tool or any source, whether or not it's true, it's relevant to, the interest or the pursuit that you have in learning, right? Or analyzing something. And man, when I first was told, hey, we're going to learn how to critical think, and this is like in junior high school, I thought it was like magic. It was so fun. It was tough. It's a, cognitive training exercise of the nth degree, but guess what? It's also really fun because that's how you start to get introduced to debating and questioning things. And critical thinking is not about knowing, it's about how to generate the next best question, right? And I'm not too afraid. I think as the noise floor rises, the people who can critically think are going to be okay. You're going to be differentiated. And this BS about if you don't use AI, you're going to be left behind. No, if you lose your mind, you're going to be left behind. And, a lot of people are going to lose their jobs because they no longer critically think. They're not valuable because they don't know how to ask questions. And that's going to be a detriment to them. But you know what? Selfishly, too bad. That's right. It's like more opportunity for me. And if I train my kids to critically think at the highest degree, they're going to do well. I don't have any concerns in that regard. What I'm more concerned about is society and where society goes, and no one critically thinks anymore. And then they have a diminished ability to distinguish between what's fact, fiction, fake, and true. right? And you need critical thinking in order to filter through that stuff to get to the stuff that matters. And yeah,
Leonard, you are a household of 2 votes. That's what I'm gonna say.
yeah, but
No,
we're adaptable.
I mean,
I don't know.
that's the challenge. The challenge is not in this room. The challenge is outside this room. It's a systemic issue.
I wanted to ask a serious question too, because actually I don't know, and I'm going to pick on. I think Debbie knows the answer. The other day, Rick and a few other people that are in our circle posted a response from one of the LLMs. I'm not sure which one, that was providing a schematic on how to make like an electrical connection to a machine. Something that an electrician would know, like this cable goes here. And the response was reckless and freaking dangerous. Like basically, if you had followed those instructions, someone would have gotten electrocuted at best, death at worst. So my question is, don't we have some regulations or checks and balances that if I get a response like that from one of these tools and I follow it, and I burn my house down, electrocute myself, or whatever, can I sue somebody, or am I?
No, you know what? I think
But David, this is the contrary of critical thinking.
They have the disclaimers, right?
Right.
They already have the disclaimers. You are at fault for using it, and they say don't trust it because it can hallucinate and do all kinds of other stuff. It's your fault, and I think it goes back to the fundamental question of, if you can't trust it, should you be using it? And people are choosing to use it when you can't trust it, right?
Right.
And that's the problem. It's on you.
I tell people,
David, that's the point. That's the point. I would argue that if you say, "Oh, I'm using it and I'm looking for somebody who is liable," you're anti-critical thinking. Your critical thinking should say, "I'm not going to use that and expect somebody to be liable if I do something bad with it."
but well, first of all, laws are about behavior of people and companies. So it's on us, right? Based on what we do. But I always tell people you're responsible for what goes in and then what comes out. So if the advice that came out is bad and you used it, then that's really your responsibility, truly.
Leonard is laughing because on the chat I put why we have done on bleach bottles, right? This is why you don't have the ammonia bottles and you take a whiff too close. This is
Yeah. No, I love Rob's one-shot responses.
Yeah, not even talking. He doesn't need to talk. He doesn't need to talk. But there's one back to the car analogy. At the very beginning, there were no seatbelts, and then there were seatbelts, but they were not enforced. Now they're enforced. So in the same way, I'm confident. And maybe I'm over optimistic, but I'm confident that things will fall in place more or less fast. I don't know. But when I see my kids using their critical thinking, and I like to think that my wife and I like kind of induced that on them. And I also believe that it's cool with their friends. They're getting into that. When my kids react to something they see online, even if it's like stupid, like relevant things, they're able to say, "Hey, this is bullshit." And I ask them, "How do you know that?" "Well, but I've been like doing my research." The difference is that they did the research in like 2 seconds using the tools they know and typing with like their freaking fast thumbs. And they had an answer, and then they ask another question to kind of like, wait a second, I don't like this answer, but in a good way. And so even if it's for like, hey, here's the lyric, are the lyrics of that Brazilian song, real? And ended up like, hey, get me the lyrics and translate that. And well, they were actually doing the work, and they have the tools to do it way faster than we did. And so when they grow up and develop that critical thinking, and the other thing that's going to happen when they grow up is that they will realize that to get stuff, they need to work. They're lazy and they have everything without having to work, and they don't want to work. But then they get into the real life, and they realize that they cannot afford a flat, an apartment or whatever, or paying their insurance. And now they're starting to say, oh, wait a second, I need to work. Now they understand that things are not just arriving to them, easy and free. And so they will do the work. Now they have the tools to do it even faster.
Yeah.
So I'm confident things will.
Well, but
end
that,
up
the assumption on that is that the tool, you're going to still be able to find the tool that gives you the right answer. And if
they'll be the one developing it. They'll be the one evolving and developing it. So, I wouldn't say yes. I'm past 50, so I wouldn't go into that. It's no longer my problem, and it's the young people shit. But it's these people who are using these tools, who are familiar with them, who are going to develop what's next, or we're going to be creating these seat belts and enforcing them and voting for the laws to enforce them. So we need to, in my opinion, we need to reinforce that. We need to educate them for that. It's not just us trying to fix things or regulate things as the older generation, for us to give the right incentives and toolings to the younger generations for them to also, draw the lines and make their own future.
Okay.
I think one of the things that bothers me. I'm sorry. Go ahead, David.
No, I said I'm going to leave, but I'm going to invoke history to Olivier's car analogy. A couple of things you said that. Number one, back in the day when regulation was coming out in the U.S., when regulations was coming down to mandate seatbelts in vehicle, there was lots of data, lots of research that made the government said, "Hey, this thing will save lives. Here's the data, here's analysis, here's why." I want all of us critical thinkers and let me look at the count. Our 3 billion people that watch this show every week, go do research on the resistance of the many to this regulation, how it came across as, again, some of you are listening, it's like, there's no way, what idiot would say that? But this regulation came across to many as infringing in people's freedoms. And so we have to take things like these that are normal now, understand that at some point, some people thought they were crazy and invasive.
Yeah.
And now we have all this data, and most people would say, "Hey, I get it. Seatbelts save lives. I might not use it, but I understand that they save lives. I understand why I will get a ticket, a fine if I don't use it. I understand." And and sorry, I gotta go, guys. You guys look good, but
Okay.
no one looks better than Rod.
All right. We'll see.
Yes.
Yeah. Glad to see you. Two episodes in a row. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So-
Well, one thing about AI, first of all, I love what he was talking about with seatbelts. But one of the things about seatbelts, so I know a ton about cars. Okay, ask me a lot about cars.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. I had
IoT and cars.
I had to do a slugfest at the Department of Commerce about cars. But that analogy about seatbelts, I mean, that took decades. That took decades to do. And so being able to wrangle all this stuff will take decades. And the problem is that the tools are growing more rapidly than we can adjust, right? So instead of something changing massively in a couple of years, I mean, we're talking about weeks and months.
We know regulations and common sense is slower, but it's still accelerating. I mean, CRA came in pretty fast. If you think about how fast technology is going, CRA was put in place and voted, Cyber Resilience Act.
Oh,
so this was put in place pretty fast, faster than GDPR when big data was a thing, in my opinion.
Yes, it's the difficulty I think nowadays is that it's always behind. It's never forward thinking.
Well, it's never gonna be regulation.
Oh, yeah.
Regulation is all about rear view. Oh God, that was
But that's the problem. That's the problem with technology. If we don't get out of this rear view, but really in terms of thought leadership and forward thinking, it will always be behind and it can be exploited. Because the problem again is the scale. Because this example of resistance against seat belts, if you think about it, the environment in which people were growing in terms of influence was much lower than it is today through all social media and things. So you can create an environment where people will resist to things much more easily with tech nowadays. I think that's really the real problem, because we don't have something that scales as fast in terms of distilling critical thinking and making sure that the tools are not biased toward not critical thinking.
That's the problem is the diminishing attention span. You need to actually have more attention than the first generation LLMs in order to critically think, and everyone's attention span is diminishing.
Yeah,
literally 3 seconds.
And I was referring to that earlier because one of the very scary use of LLMs that I see nowadays is that people will just write 2 sentences, throw it to the LLM, and expect the answers. They don't engage into an assistant conversation with critical thinking but would you try that? Oh, no, don't like this answer, try this again. No, they don't. They just want to type 2 lines, get the answer, and go do it.
So think about how toxic that dynamic you're just describing right now is. I mean,
That's
just
the point.
But regulation comes when after there's catastrophe, right?
Correct.
And that's when we respond. You know, when
And that's not going to
babies
change.
pile up.
That is not going to change. Like, that's what humans are.
Yeah.
They won't believe on things until it happens to them.
Yeah.
And until
Yeah.
like seatbelts, until you have someone who died because they were not wearing it, you don't really realize where you're wearing it. You're wearing it because you're going to get a fine. You're not wearing because because it's dangerous. I'm wearing, when I do motorcycles, I don't these days because I live in Seattle, it rains all the time, but when I ride a motorcycle, I always wear a jacket, a helmet, and gloves, and pants, and boots, because I fell once on a motorcycle with a t-shirt, and it hurt. And I'm lucky it was not more than just flesh.
Just a little.
But before that, I was like, yeah, I know, like, it's hot out there. I'm just not going to wear the jacket.
But
and so
again,
on. That was stupid.
That doesn't scale. And let me give you an example. Look at COVID. Okay. Look at the scale of COVID. Mm-hmm. Are you confident that everybody learned from that? And do you know how many people are arguing that it didn't happen?
Actually, great point, Dimitri. No, not everyone learned. And actually, you still have people thinking that vaccines are stupid. Yes.
Exactly. That's my point.
But now we have vaccines for it. And now every year, most people get vaccinated, even if they don't really know why. They do get the flu shot. They do get the COVID. They do. And by the way, it didn't come back as an epidemic, right? And I think, yes, not everyone gets exposed, but at some point we get to, hey, we have the data, we have legislators, we have regulations put in place, and they will be imposed to the masses who don't have the critical thinking, whatever, but that's okay. These people don't even think about it.
I agree with that, with one little caveat, is that you have to trust the system. And there are signs that I'm not totally sure we're heading into this direction.
Hey, Rob, what's wrong with you, man?
We are in violent agreement, I think, on the process and on the thinking. But I think that what is changing in the geopolitical context we live in is that the motivation to implement that virtuous circle.
I agree, but to me, it's like humans in the same thing. You need a big slap in your face to realize you're wrong. And in a way, the way geopolitics are going these ways, where extreme right and whatever or did like me first, whatever is growing. Like people are getting slapped in the face. Like healthcare in the US, I'm freaking out. I'm paying my own healthcare. It's going to cost me twice as much. It's already super expensive. Well, guess what? Most of the people who have voting rights, they're going to get slapped in the face with the reality of things. And, if it's what it takes, that's a bummer. Unfortunately, sometimes it takes a war. It takes like big damage. And I'm sorry for being so like about that, but it's you need a big slap in your face to realize you're wrong and you go in the wrong direction.
The problem is that the types of problems that can happen, there will be no adequate redress, right? So it'll be like this, well, what happened to Johnny? Let's do Johnny's Law now, right? And so that I don't want to see that type of future. And then also, I always tell people AI is not wise. So wisdom is a human trait. And so even if these tools ingest all the information in the world, it still doesn't know that, nails don't go on pizza, right? So that's part of wisdom. So you didn't learn that in school, but because of your humanness, you understand that that's dangerous and probably doesn't taste very good. So,
yeah. Rob, what's wrong with you, man? Did you lose your voice? Oh
Yeah.
my God! What do you mean there is no system?
I think the world is coming to an end. If
Yeah.
Rob,
Pete and Rob have hardly said anything.
Have you ever heard people say it's the system, man, or the system didn't work for me, or the system's broken, or we were promised ... All those kind of discussions are complete bullshit. There is no system. There's no promise. There's nothing. It's just you.
Wow, dude,
that's so uplifting.
deep, man.
Can we talk technology?
That goes directly on a Hallmark card.
That's good. I love that, Debbie. That would be the best Hallmark card ever.
Apocalyptic.
I'm gonna be the one again, not that one, but in some countries, yes, in others, no.
That's right. In other countries, there are systems, but in the United States and in many other countries, there is not a system that you're talking about. You might get lucky and it may appear to you that there's a system to be a safety net or take care of you or healthcare or this or retirement. But no, that's not how it works in the United States. Everybody's on their own. It's a super free capitalistic society. And if you plan well and you save and everything, you'll have a good retirement. If not, you'll be like some high percentage of people who are living in total poverty. There is no system.
And the problem is the change is during the Cold War, there was very little argument that the alternate system could survive or could be a model. It's not the case anymore. That's the big problem for me. Anyway.
Yeah. Well,
I just want to uplift everybody.
Oh, thank you. We really appreciate it. I just came back. I did a keynote last week in Finland, in Helsinki, and
they have a system.
They do, and I love it there. But I think one of the biggest differences, first of all, I love Europe, but probably two of the biggest differences is which I love, we don't have in the US. People mind their business. That's one thing I love. And then the second thing is that they do things on a communal basis in a way, where it's okay, I'm doing this thing because it can help someone else, right? And so I feel like when I come to the US, it's every man for himself, and someone trying to say, hey, you need to think like I think. And it's what the hell's all that about? So I don't know. That's just my thought.
Well, actually, I reinforce one of the things you said, Debbie, because I went to I've been to 2 conferences in Finland the past 2 years, and I did an address as well at the hacker conference over there. And it's the middle of February, so the first time I went there, and we were still in the post-COVID few years after that. So I'm in this conference and I'm looking at it, nobody's coughing, nobody's sneezing. So, and you're in the middle of the winter, which, people get sick. So I ask somebody and say, oh, but when that happened, we stay home. So the community, the collective conscience, I mean, I was stunned. You tell me other conferences you go in this country where you don't see a guy sneezing and coughing and
yet they eat reindeer. So that's the
Everything is
By the way,
immaculate.
speaking of the opposite of Finland, I'm actually going to be in Washington, D.C. on a panel on October 16th. If you want to go, whatever is 180 from I'll be in D.C. 15th through the 17th, talking about edge AI and war fighting and in the age of war
fighting. Yeah.
Awesome.
Right.
Awesome.
So,
Yeah.
opposite of Finland.
It is interesting how military tech has all of a sudden become a big thing.
Seems to be a lot of money going in.
It's so hot right now. Like hand
no checks. those checks.
Time.
Those checks. Until those checks stop
Everything.
coming,
And-
it'll continue to be hot.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not wearing a beard or have long hair or whatever.
Yeah.
So-
NTN has nothing to do with like connecting the unconnected. It's more like connecting that weapon so that you can direct it with pinpoint accuracy and get all the intelligence you need off of the battlefield. That's what NTN is ending up becoming.
Well, Finland has pretty good military tech for
yeah. Well, they beat back the Russians back
because
in
of
World War II.
because of their neighbors. I've actually seen very impressive drones
Pretty
over
tough,
there.
you know.
So they're pretty good at that.
I really enjoy the air independent propulsion submarines that the Swedish people have built by Saab. Did anyone ever have a Saab car in the past?
Oh, I had a couple of Saabs. I love Saabs.
Aren't they awesome? They're just beautiful. I wish they were still around.
Yeah, they kind of went down the tube there.
Funny looking.
They do. But they're getting checks. As Debbie said, Saab gets checks today because they pivoted to just mostly military fighter jets and air independent propulsion on submarines.
Yeah.
It's even quieter than our submarines.
Really?
900.
Wow.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a Saab wagon actually when we were.
Oh wow!
When we had two kids, we had a Saab 900 wagon manual transmission one. It was
man, back in the early '90s, that Saab 900 convertible is arguably one of the most beautiful cars ever.
Really?
Yeah, we'll get one. There's plenty.
Yeah. Are there? There's around. You think?
Go and bring a trailer, or they're around.
Yeah. Okay. All right. That's good to know.
Did you know what we used to say about Saab especially France, Germany, back in those years? The people,
Here it comes.
The people who buy Saab, which actually then migrated more to Audis, were people who had a kind of a personality problem. So sorry, I'm not trying to offend anyone, because there are people that could buy a BMW or Mercedes, but they wanted to look different. So they go for a Saab. And then Audi came in and they went to Audi. So I think it's still the case. So
we have the Swedish car owners get together. So I have an old Volvo. So we get together and there's Volvo owners and Saab owners, and they're always on opposite sides of the parking lot. So
sure.
The Jets and the Sharks.
Volvo people over here.
Yeah. And just so you know, Pete's old Volvo is gorgeous.
Thank you.
It's just a beautiful, beautiful car.
Really?
Wow. They don't make them like
I think
they
it's
used
on
to.
my LinkedIn. There's
No,
a
they
picture
don't.
in the back of my LinkedIn profile.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's right.
72 two-door wagon.
Yeah, and they're more likely to survive an EMP blast. So
That's for sure. Yeah, I'll be cruising around. You guys will all be on the side of the road, dead stop.
Yeah, dead. Can't get out of your car.
Talking about car safety, it depends what. Talking about car safety, it depends on what year it was built, but some of them were still at the transition where the car was built tough. So if you had an accident, the car survived, you'll die, as opposed to the modern technology.
That's right. That flipped somewhere along the line, right? Save the car, but
and nowadays the car is total virtual. So
Hey, so pivoting to something that's really weird. So hey, you Rob, you mentioned this K-pop demon hunter thingy.
Yeah. Like the number one movie in the world.
Yeah, I completely disregarded it. I was like, oh my God, rolling my eyes. And then I bumped into that song, Golden. There's two friggin' notes in that song that totally got me interested in that whole thing. And the singers are amazing. And it's weird. The irony is that you have all this, it's an animated movie, right? So you have these fictional characters, but everyone now has interest in the people, the actual people, which I think is funny because now we have this, Tilly, is her name Tilly? That
AI girl.
Thingy. Now everyone's freaking out and saying, artists are going to die off and no one's going to give a crap about them. I don't think that's true. If you look at what's happening with this K-pop hunter thingy, people are more interested actually in the real people behind the voices and the singing.
And note something, Leonard, is that they're not like they're like beautiful people, but they're not in the norms of what a pop star would look like. And still, they're famous because they were not on screen, and people were able to realize, wow, they have a fantastic voice. Yeah. They can be celebrities, right?
Exactly. And then the thing is AI can fake that high note. It's like two notes that she sings, and the first time I heard it, and it was just on the radio, I'm like, what the friggin' hell? That is like, and she's doing it full voice, right? It's not a falsetto. It's not
falsetto. Huh?
Yeah.
Wow.
Full voice. She nails it, and the quality of those two notes are just so incredible. And then she even hits a higher one in some of the other songs, apparently.
Wow.
People just want to see them live.
So she went into full Mariah Carey mode.
No, I don't think Mariah Carey can even do that. That's the thing.
Oh,
The reason why everyone's
Hey, those are
freaking out
fighting
about
words.
this.
Oh, come
song.
on.
The people who are the singers, they go,
Mariah Carey can
how
do
did you
anything.
do that?
And we're just a few
About
months
that.
away
Maybe-
from
no, you know
Mariah
who can do
Carey's season.
anything. Who can
That's
do
right.
anything is Aretha Franklin.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
my!
She was
Do you
pretty
remember that when
Unbelievable.
Mariah Carey and Aretha Franklin got up? They were up on stage together, and you gotta recognize the age difference. Oh man, Aretha Franklin took Mariah Carey to school.
Mm.
Mariah Carey's doing all these whistle notes, and then Aretha Franklin's hitting the same notes full voice. You know what I'm saying? And that's
She was the instrument. Her voice is the instrument. It's incredible.
She was like a little bit mean up on stage. She took an attitude up there as she basically was saying, "Hey, look, let me show you something."
She was
Some girl.
Franklin,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard. So I think Keith Richards said one time, it's like it's not just the notes; she goes around the notes or over. She just
Yeah.
the things that she does or her voice.
There you go.
But
And one of them wants 4 fried chickens and a Coke, and the other one wants dry white toast. Oh my God, you guys!
Yeah.
don't
Blues
even know
Brothers.
what I'm
Blues
talking
Brothers.
about.
Blues Brothers.
I gotta watch all these movies again, dude. You have an amazing memory.
We're on a mission from God here.
We're on a mission from God.
Anybody going to SF Tech Week next week?
No.
In San Francisco? No.
No, I'm going to Semicon West. Getting deep
All right.
into semiconductor
Semicon kind of life.
manufacturing beneath
Fun.
the wafer. Yeah.
Beneath the
So
wafer.
$10,000 casters, and
All right.
and
I'm going to
I'll be
go
$1.
I'm going to Orlando next week for the IBM Tech Exchange.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. Who knew?
All right.
That'll-
There you go.
I don't
I'll
have
be in
any,
SF.
I don't have any details yet that I can share, but I think I may be at Black Hat in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, nice.
Really?
Interesting.
Good.
I'll fill you in once the details come in.
That's cool.
Wow.
BYOBS. Bring your own bone saw, I think is the
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay, we're gonna have to push this episode off.
All right.
After she
Hello.
comes back. Oh my god.
BYOBS.
Oh my god.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, who says that we aren't controversial?
Is
There you
anybody going to be in Vegas the week after next? Because there's like 3 different conferences all at the same time there.
I'm at
Nope. That's
Okay.
my DC week.
Oh, okay.
DC
Yeah.
week. PSA, by the way, anyone who's going to be in Taiwan or the area November 11th and 12th in Taipei, we're going to have our Edge AI Taipei 2025. So still some seats
Yeah,
left.
awesome.
It's going to be rocking. We got
Outstanding.
Dell there, Advantech, bunch of startups, panel, workshop, RISC-V,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So
Too much stuff.
I love it.
too many
I love it.
places to go, too many things. Yeah, there's a thing coming up in South Africa at the end of this month, a big AI show there. Yeah, it's really crazy the amount of stuff happening in real time, in real space as well as virtual. So got to pick and choose.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
Globetrotters.
That's right.
all.
Especially you,
Absolutely.
Debbie. Geez, you're like all over the place. You're in
She is.
Finland. You're going to
Just
awesome.
Yeah, those.
Lake Geneva to the Finland station.
I'd like
Yeah.
to go to Saudi Arabia. I'm not sure if I'm invited anymore, but
Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
Awesome. Well, I did get to see our friend Ryan Treese a few days ago, and he was in Houston for a cybersecurity event. He works for FreeWave, so they make edge gateway things with 900 megahertz radios and cellular, and so
cool.
it's good to catch up with Ryan. Yeah,
Nice. How's
How come he's not
Texas?
it's hot and humid.
Is that why your image is so fuzzy? Because there's like
I don't know. It's
There's
probably
moisture on the lens.
moisture on
Yeah,
the-
it's moisture. Yeah, no, I don't know.
Condensation.
And like in 4 minutes from now, I have to get on and talk to all these people from Google about the Cloud Pulse survey and why they should love it.
Google.
A bunch of Googlers. I'm going to have to pitch a bunch of Googlers here in a few minutes.
All right.
So,
Okay.
wow.
Tell
So
them
I
to
will
their
be-
Gemini results for Donald Trump dementia.
Yeah, so needless
Yeah.
to say, they disregarded our Teams meeting and gave back a Meet meeting. And they also,
Of course.
I have Excel spreadsheets to show. I have PowerPoints, and I got the word that it's like, don't you dare do that. And so I
Really?
imported my Excel into Sheets and my PowerPoint into
Come
Slides, and I'm gonna go full Google on them.
Oh my
that's
God.
that's a
I
very
like-
modern way of approaching things, right?
Oh yeah.
Well, at least they're paying the bills, I assume. So
They're paying the bills, and apparently
Amen.
they secretly,
Are they?
not so secretly, make fun of people, IDC or analysts who are totally incapable of using their tools, and they're bending over backwards to get Excel and PowerPoint and everything to work and meet. And I'm like, but luckily, since we are much smarter than most people, we can figure this shit out.
Yeah.
smarter than the average bear.
All right. So
Exactly.
why don't you take us out then?
Okay, it's going to be a fast takeout. Right. Okay. It's been so great to spend all this time with you today. It's all about uplifting, lift up your neighbors, pull together. We build this wonderful system together that keeps everybody safe, keeps everybody off the streets of healthcare. Oh, wait, it's IoT Coffee Talk. We got connected stuff. We got analytics. We got AI. We got hearts coming out of Leonard. It's great, man. Do that stuff. Sometimes you might even do a digital twin, or you might use for just IoT for great situational awareness. You know, like when Pete goes and talks to the military folks in Washington, D.C., right? It's all a good thing. Always good to have you here. I hope to see you next week and every other week on into the future. And I'm sure 100 years from now, our avatars will still be doing this. I know it'll
There you
happen.
go.
Yeah, that's how we're
Absolutely.
going to train our avatars off of.
We're training him right now,
We're
just like
training as we speak. Yes.
And they
just
will
like we
all be
trained
psychotic.
Tupac. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Adios, muchachos.